this chapter, we're going to do another track review for a beat that I did for Nas. The name of the beat is called My Will. For this one, I had to bust out the old school ASR 10. It took a little jump starting to get it going, but we got him rocking and rolling, and let's see what it sounds like coming out of the old machine. So what I have here is the bare minimum. Good thing about the ASR 10, it was only 8 tracks, so that's all you had to work with. In this particular beat, I only had 4 tracks out of the 8 that I used. So what I was saying before is when I used to use the ASR, I was imitating the MPC style. So you'll see here, like, well, first of all, let me just play the beat. This is how it went. This was the intro. And I used to do this by hand too. I would just fade up the beat like this and go. Two different sequences I'm going back and forth with. So what I did was, in these days I would start with the sample. This was the sample, and I would cut it into quarter notes. So every key had its own note. Every note, 16 of them. Back. And that would enable me to speed or slow down the beat within, or give or take 1 or 2 BPMs, and give it a different swing, because now that you have them chopped in at 16s, you can move it. You have a little bit of freedom with your sequence. So that was like one of the early tricks. And again, this is really equivalent of chopping 16 pads. Here, they're not cutting off each other. They can play at the same time. But I used to just press record and program it like you could hear it. Sometimes it's not perfect. So then I would start with that, and then I would bring in the drums and bass. These were drum sounds from the Triton, I believe. The kick. And for the snare, I used a clap and a snare. So I had this and this clap. So that was basically. Then I had the bass rocking with it. Just basically accentuating what was already in the loop. So I'm listening to the loop and I can kind of hear the bass. And I just did the. Good old bass sound. Basically. But I was making the notes kind of short to give it that bounce. And that's basically it. It was, again, a simple beat. It was really what Nas was gonna do to the record. I feel like I gave him just enough for he could write. It was a 1-verse joint, and yeah, this is one of those old ASR